Hi y'all, it's Kimberly here. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for coming. And today I have something strange happened to me this morning. I was going to go eat pancakes. I wanted to eat pancakes at Whataburger. They make big, huge, fluffy, amazing pancakes. But they wouldn't answer the phone because I didn't know what time they stopped serving breakfast, and I live in a small town about 15 minutes away. And I had to call like 3 different ones, and none of them would answer the phone. And that's like a common thing now, I notice, when you call a business sometimes. It takes them forever to answer the phone, or they just don't answer it. So by the 4th one, I finally got an answer and told me they were open till 11, got up late, and so I went to the gas station, and then I had to try to beat it there. And when I got there, I was about 5 minutes till 11, and they were working on the building. They're remodeling the whole thing. It was shut down. So I was like, oh, I was so upset, so mad. I was like, I really wanted pancakes so bad. And so I looked up my phone where they still serving pancakes, somewhere like a breakfast house or something, IHOP or something. And the IHOP that I know is like it was way downtown by the college, and I really didn't want to drive that far. But there was a little restaurant that I used to go to, this restaurant decades ago, and it was called something else, and every once in a while me and my friends would go there and eat breakfast. But it had a different name. It was a different restaurant, but when I went there, it was like all day breakfast, and they also had a regular menu. Like, they served both breakfast and like chicken fried steaks or sandwiches or BLTs or whatever you want. So I was looking at the menu, and they had an amazing assortment of pancakes, all different kinds, with chocolate chips, bacon and chocolate chips, which I almost got that. But then I saw they had peanut butter pancakes, which I love, and so I got that with a side of 2 over-easy eggs and 2 slices of bacon, and it was so good, so delicious. They were huge pancakes. I'm not kidding. They were like about this big, and I could not shovel the last bite down. I was so bloated. I was like, I'm gonna get sick if I do this. But I wanted to eat it so bad, but I left like a little chunk on the plate because I was like, I just was misery. And it was so good, and the pieces of bacon were huge, because usually you go somewhere and you get these shriveled up little strips, and they're awful, but these were gigantic. So it was really good, and I had a really good breakfast and had a really good waitress. And then she checked on me several times and didn't really need anything. I was just stuffing my face with the pancakes, and then all of a sudden this lady walked by me, and she tapped my table with her fingers, and she goes, "Well, you have a wonderful day." And she goes, I paid for your check. And I was like, what? And she was walking, I was sitting right behind the cash register, and she walked around, there's like a wall partition there. And she walked around the cash register, and she was on her way out. And I was like, wait, like, I was dumbfounded by it. And I said, thank you. And I should have asked her name or something, but I was so shocked by it, because nobody has ever done that for me. Never committed an act of kindness randomly like that for me, or pay it forward type of act. That's never happened to me, ever. I've had a few friends do some things for me, but not just randomly. And it was so weird, because I don't like to accept free stuff, and I don't like to accept, like, I'm the girl that goes out with the girls, and I won't accept the drink from the guy. I won't do it. And my friends used to get mad at me. Oh, just take it, Kim. I'm like, no, I don't. You know, it was a whole big thing. I turned it into a whole big thing. No, because then he'll think he can spend the whole night with me, and, you know. I'm that kind of person, you know. And I'm very skeptical of people when they do things, when they try to, especially if they try to buy stuff. That's one thing I don't tolerate, is I don't like guys coming up and just trying to buy stuff. There's incidents that have happened to me where guys have had have tried to just pay for stuff and just keep trying. And or like there's a person I work with, and this person has tried like 50 times to buy my Cokes for me. And now it's just annoying, and it's not an act out of doing or of your heart or, you know, something like that. It's like, it's now like a competition of, can he conquer me over that? Because after 50 times, you should just stop, okay? But besides that point, I just don't like people who try to ingratiate themselves to you, and they want a return on that favor, or they say things like, you owe me now, or I don't want anybody's thumbs over me at all. And so a lot of people take that as me being rude or like unfriendly, but it's for that reason. I don't know, people seem, I've had a lot of people gravitate to me in that fashion to try to, guys buying me, randomly trying to buy me clothes or trying to do this or trying to do that I wasn't even dating, that I had no affiliation whatsoever, and just thinking that, you know, like they can buy themselves into a situation with me, or that's what I perceive it to be, you know, because I don't go around trying to buy, you know, just like if some guy's looking at something, or this happened to me, I don't know how many times, I'd be looking at something on my phone, or if I was somewhere and I was looking at something, oh, you want that? Is that what you want? I'll buy it for you. I'll get it for you. I've never done that. I've never had the inclination to do that. And it's always from men, never women, except, well, in a few cases where they were of that persuasion to try to get me in a relationship. I have had a couple of situations like that with women, but that is in that particular, I put them in the same particular way as the men trying to buy themselves into a relationship. So that I don't like. I think that creates a false foundation, and if you're expecting for somebody to buy your affection, you get used to it and you want it more and more, and you base the, you know, you have a meter of, oh, does that person like me, or really like me, or like me a lot, or love me? It keeps, you know, you keep track of it like that if you base it on what they buy you. You can't do that. If you monetize your affection, you know, that's not a relationship. It's a transactional relationship, which is not at all what I don't know. I know there's some women that are okay with that, pay for all my nails and my hair and do all this and do that, and I guess that's why I don't ever do my hair and I don't grow my nails. But anyway, so this whole act of kindness that this woman did to me was so strangely shocking, and I noticed her right when I first came in, because I went to a place that was super packed. I've driven by this place. It changed into a different restaurant, from one restaurant to another, about 20 or 25 years ago. I've driven by that restaurant probably 1,000 times. I mean, literally like 1,000 or 2,000 times. I don't know. I'm trying to calculate how many days, because it's right next to a main highway that I go down almost every day. I'd say at least 3 or 4 times a week I go down that street or down that highway, and it's off on an access road, and I see it all the time. And I've always thought, you know, I'd like to go there. I hope it's as good as the restaurant that we used to go to. And it was excellent, fantastic, but it was super busy, super crowded, and little bitty tables, but they were so, I can see by the menu, they had an amazing menu, and I'll go there again. I'll definitely be going there again. But I saw this woman when I first walked in. I sat down, and I stared at her kind of, but not to be rude, but she had a beanie on, and I wear hats all the time. And she had a beanie on, and it was kind of cute on her, and she was like in her 40s, I think. She was probably at least 38, 39, late 30s to probably mid 40s. Was kind of my calculation of her age. And she had a tank top on, and and this beanie, the way she was wearing it, and I was like, I mean, most young people wear it in that fashion, but I was like, oh, it's kind of cute on her. I thought it was cute, you know. And I was like, maybe I should start wearing a beanie. I actually used to wear them sometimes when I was younger, when I was like a teenager, very young. And I started wearing more baseball caps at a certain time. And then it kind of made me remember, like, oh yeah, I remember I used to wear beanies like that every once in a while. I had this bright orange, just like this, bright orange one that I would wear. Oh, it was a hunting, actually it was a hunting winter hat, but you know, I'd pull it all the way down, and the way they wear them now is different than how we used to wear them. But I was like, that it looks good on her, you know. And I just sat down and ate my meal, and I don't know, the way I was facing this way, and so she had kind of a perpendicular view of me, and I was not aware if she was looking at me or anything. I don't know, but when she did that, I was so shocked, and just couldn't find my words, you know. And at least enough to say thank you. I mean, I jumped up out of my chair and I was like, thank you. I didn't know what to say, you know. And I was very, very shocked. And then I started thinking, well, I was kind of on a budget and I didn't want to spend too much. I bought my pancakes. It was like a smaller, cheaper plate. They have huge breakfasts there that, you know, they got really good food there. And I was looking around and I looked and I was like, and it was nothing but families and tables of like 3, 4, 5, 6 people. And there was not like a single diner there by themselves. And I was like, I don't have enough to pay for a whole meal for somebody, you know, to pay it forward. And I kind of thought, well, if I just offered to pay for one person's meal out of a whole table, that would be kind of weird, I guess. I kind of thought, I was like, then I'd have to pick which person and how much is it. And so I was like, no, I just didn't, you know, I didn't do it because I didn't have enough to pay for the whole meal. And it's a few days till payday, and I had to fill up my tank with gas. And I was like, well, oh, but that was, I mean, I'm still kind of blown over by it, but, and I've had, like I said, a few friends that have done things for me. Like, I'm very particular about people giving me stuff. I don't like to take free stuff. I just don't like it, you know, because it leads to people, like, if you don't do something for them in the future or something like that, they think, oh, it's a way sometimes people can manipulate you into doing something for them or whatever. And I just don't like that. And I like to be in total control over what I do and not have anybody have their thumbs over me or anything. But one time I was working at a nursing home and I was walking. I didn't have a car. My car had blown up, and I had, I think I ended up walking for about 3.5 years, and I was trying to save for a car. My credit was tanked and it was horrible, and the job I worked at didn't pay good. And my friend told me one day, she was like, Kim, do you work this Saturday? And she goes, well, okay, well, I'm going to take you to Lubbock and we're going to get you a bike. And I was like, okay. And well, at first she tried to get me to take a bike from her husband. He found a bike or had a bike and he was fixing it up, and she was saying he just needs to buy the chain and buy a few more things. He's going to buy some parts and fix it, and he'll get it to you probably in about a week. I was like, no, I don't want that. I don't want an old bike. And I just didn't want people paying for stuff and then giving me something. I just have a thing about that. That's just something about me. And she was like, oh, okay. And so then she came to me with the idea, and I told her I was saving. I said, I have almost enough to get a bike, and I'm going to try to figure out some way to get it from here to there and buy a brand new one. And she goes, well, I'm going to take you this Saturday and we're going to go get a bike for you. And she took me to Walmart, picked out a bike, and loaded it in her truck, and she took it you know, took it back. And I really appreciated that she did that for me. And there was another time that my mom, she was terminally ill with cancer, and she was in MD Anderson, which is way at the other end of Texas, and I'm at the northern end of Texas, which Texas is a huge state. You can drive 12 hours and still be in the same state. And she was in Houston at MD Anderson, and she'd been there for about, I think, a month and a half or almost 2 months, and she was not going to be getting out. I mean, she was terminal. And one of my friends that I worked with, she knew what was happening, and she came to me one day and she said, well, Kim, me and her boyfriend, they're gonna drive me up there because my car at that time was not good. It was like a, oh my gosh, it was like a death trap type of VW Bug that had a hole in the floorboard, and it was like I can't remember, it's either a 64 or 66. It was either 1 year younger than me or 1 year older than me. I can't remember, because I was born in 65, and it would not have made it. It could barely make it to work. I had to be careful about how much I drove it, and it was like on its last wheel. And she took me there, and I got to spend a couple of days there before my mom passed. And she paid for everything, all the gas, all the hotel. I tried to pay for some of the food or something. You know, I spent the night in the hospital with my mom. They allowed me to stay all night there. But, you know, she packed up her kids and her husband and took me, and I was really grateful for that. So there's only been like a few other times, maybe, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sure there's other things that people have done, but things like that, I know that people are doing out of the goodness of their heart. God, I can't believe it. But a lot of these little things that people try to, like the incessant, I'll go up to a Coke machine. Usually I bring my own Cokes, but when I run out, sometimes I have to buy them at the Coke machine. This person runs up behind me. Oh, well, I'll get it for you. I'll get it. I'll get it. You got enough? I can buy it. You know, it's so annoying. And I just don't like that at all. And practically trips, jumping over people, trying to get before I put the money in so that he can buy it for me. And it's just annoying, you know, it's just absolutely annoying. And literally, I mean literally about 40 or 50 times, you know, that's annoying, okay? But I think one time I broke down and I did let him buy it. It was just like or I've been in places where I was at Walmart one time. I was looking at something, this guy came up to me and he was like, oh, I've seen you looking at that. Is that you like that? Is that what you look good in that? Let me buy it for you. I'll buy it for you. Like, no, you cannot. Because who does that? Why would you go around offering to buy stuff for people you don't know? And I think that it would upset people, like, if you just turn around and say, okay, get away from me now. Because that's the way I would feel. I don't like strangers coming up and trying to buy stuff for me. And unbelievably, I've had so many incidents like that mostly when I was younger, but it still kind of happens occasionally. It was like a few years ago. I was buying a Coke like this, and this guy came up and he started laughing and started talking to me like, how you doing? You know, just, he was like one of those kind of talkers that could just come up to somebody and start a conversation. And I'm not really like that. I can be a little bit friendly, but I mean, he just started a full conversation with me, and I just kind of answered him just to be polite. And then when I went to the cash register, I was putting my money on the table, and he goes, no, I got it. He tried to literally almost grab my hand, and I pulled back. And it was unnerving, you know. It's like, that's not, it's just bizarre. I can understand a man paying for his girlfriend's stuff, or his wife's stuff, but just randomly trying to pay for women's stuff, I don't like that. Some women are okay with that, but I'm not. And I was okay with this lady doing that because I really think it was an act of kindness. And it was still is like blowing my mind. Because that to me, I think, was a true intentional act of kindness. That wasn't somebody trying to get my attention or have something, because the lady left and I never saw her again. She left, got in her car, and drove off. And wanted nothing in return for me. Didn't want to take me out to dinner or for me to return the favor in any way. You know, there were no conditions put on it, not transactional in any way, shape, or form. So, and I've had guys say stuff like, let me take you out after something that they've done. I can't remember what this guy did at work one time. He did something. I think he broke something. He was being very annoying, and I can't remember what he did, but I got really mad. And his solution was to, oh, well, let me take you out. I was like, okay, you break my stuff, and then you get rewarded by getting to date me? That's not the way it works. And I can't remember what he did. He broke something of mine, and I don't remember what happened, but this was like about 30 or 35 years ago. I was really young. But I've been that way all my life. And even sometimes some of the women would come up and chastise me, like, Kim, why didn't you just go out with him? That way you don't have to pay for it. I was like, I'm not trading stuff for no, I'm not gonna be, it's not gonna be transactional with me. And I don't know, just, it was very kind, very nice, very real gesture. And I do sometimes give out dog food to the homeless, and I give out gloves. I give out scarves or hats in the wintertime. At Walmart, they'll have their winter stuff marked down for like $1, $2. Sometimes they have the little stretch gloves. They'll have them like $2 for $1 each. And I'll buy those, and I'll give them out. Or I'll go through my winter jackets, and I've given away several. I have a lot of winter clothes. And I have them packed up right now in my storage unit, but sometimes I go through it and I find something I'm like, oh, I'm never going to wear this. Or blouses or stuff. There's a lot of homeless people in the city that I work in, and I do give stuff like that. I think that's something that I don't expect anything in return. I don't want nothing in return. And I do think that that's something that I think all people should be intentional about, is to try to do something without expecting something in return. Even if the person's not very thankful or very, even if they're not, I don't expect them to thank me or anything. A lot of it is old clothes and stuff I don't even need, not going to use. And for some reason, I don't know what the deal is, but I see a lot of homeless people that don't wear gloves. And it can be like 25 degrees outside. And I see this all the time. And I have gone up to them numerous times when it's like below freezing. And I'm like, which is, we don't have a lot of days like that here where I'm at. But it does get cold at night here in the wintertime. It can be very cold here. But I've gone up to them. I'm like, aren't your hands freezing here? Here's some gloves. Please put them on. And they've always been super grateful. They've always been just super gracious and grateful. And I do know several of the homeless people in certain areas that have dogs, and I've given them bags of dog food. And I divide it up into like the little plastic baggies, or either some of them the gallon bags. I've known people that have 2 or 3 dogs, and I've given them bowls. I have tons of bowls, and I tell them, here's you need a water bowl. And they're like, oh yeah, and or leashes, collars, stuff like that. So I think people should try at least one little bit. And when you do it with no expectation of anything in return, is the most satisfying thing ever. Okay, I still can't believe she bought me breakfast. And she just got in her car and drove away. You know, didn't try to, you know, it was just very, very, very nice. Okay, thank you all. Y'all have a good day.